everyone, welcome back to my channel, Louise's TBR shelf. If it looks like I'm wearing exactly what I've worn in another video, it's because I am. I am doing 2 videos in one day, be productive. I have the time, why not, right? So what I am doing today is a book on haul. Now, for many people, when they say book on haul, they mean like they'll donate it to the library, give it to someone else. But for me, it goes to my classroom library. I'm an English teacher, high school English teacher, and I have a small classroom library there. And most of the books that I decide to unhaul go there for my students. And then maybe sometimes they'll be able to convince me to read them, or I change my mind and I manage to go to my classroom and get it myself. So, even though it's not like a real unhaul, I guess, it's more relocation of books. So they're always there. I still technically own them, but they're not in my actual TBR or in my apartment at the time. So let's get started with this book on haul. First are books from Book of the Month, YA. There was a time when they did Book of the Month and Book of the Month YA, and I signed up for Book of the Month YA because I prefer YA novels. I tend to read more YA novels, so I thought I would get into that. But I found that, I did pick the book that interested me the most out of the 5, but I wouldn't necessarily say they interested me the most out of like all the books I could possibly read or find in a bookstore, and I really want to concentrate on reading books that I'm pulled towards, and feel like the desire to read, opposed to books that like I just picked, because they were there. So yeah, let's get started with those. The first book is The Girl the Sea Gave Back by Adrienne Young. The reason I'm actually unhauling this is because this is a sequel. The first one is Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young, I believe, and I'm not interested enough to go buy the first one, read it, and then read the sequel. So I've decided to unhaul it and give someone else a shot to read this. And so yeah. Before I continue, actually, I just want to say, just because I decide to unhaul these books doesn't mean you should. If you love these books, keep on loving them. This is just a personal preference, and yeah, it's nothing to say about your reading tastes at all. It's just books that I don't find I want to read, So let's continue. If you're hearing a meow in the background, it's my cat. Like, for some reason, during odd hours of the day, he meows at like random stuff, and then he eventually settles down. First, I don't know why he does it. Like, he has water, he has food, everything. It's just, he likes to meow. Who knows? Next is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. I know I said I was gonna read this in July, but I just decided not to because I personally didn't feel desired to, I didn't feel a pull towards it. I decided to read Night Circus instead. So yeah, I'm gonna unhaul this because I've had it, since I think book of the month YA began. It was one of the first books I got, and I didn't feel interest in it at all. It was like one of the first books I got from Book of the Month YA, and it's been on my shelf for a while, and now I just like kind of lost interest. I did hear great things about it, but personally I just don't feel pulled to read it, but I mean, if I change my mind, I can always get it again from my classroom and read it, but for now I think I'm just going to unhaul it and take it off of my TBR. Next is House of Salt and Sorrow by Erin A. Craig. Same thing, Book of the Month, got it, but don't really feel interested in reading it. Actually, I know someone that did read it and was just like, it's predictable. It's kind of the same thing you always get from these like YA books, love interest, adventure kind of thing. It wasn't anything unique about it, and that kind of pulled me away from it, enough to unhaul it and give a student a chance to read it instead. Next is Ink in the Blood by Kim Smechko. I actually read the synopsis again before I decided to unhaul it, but for some reason, I was like, really isn't interesting to me enough to read it. I want to read other books instead of this one, and so like I decided I'll probably never get to it because there are other books that I'd rather read and books coming out that I'm interested in more. So I decided to unhaul this one as well. Again, though, if you love these books, good for you. Love these books. This is just my personal preference. last book of the month book I'm unhauling is Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. This is actually, I think Reagan from Peruse Project was reading this and thought it was good, but I don't know. I felt like the synopsis wasn't like interesting enough. Here, I'll read it to you. Annie and Lee were just children when a brutal revolution changed the world, giving everyone, even the low-born, a chance to test into the government class of dragon riders. Now they are both rising stars of the new regime, despite backgrounds that couldn't be more different. Annie's low-born family was executed by dragonfire, while Lee's aristocratic family was murdered by revolutionaries. Growing up in the same orphanage forged their friendship, and 7 years of training have made them rivals for the top position in their dragon riding fleet. But everything changes when survivors from the old regime surface, bent on reclaiming the city. When war on the horizon and his relationship with Annie changing fast, Lee must choose to kill the only family he has left, or to betray everything he's come to believe in. And Annie must decide whether to protect the boy she loves or step up to be the champion her city needs. From debut author Rosaria Munda comes a gripping adventure that calls to question what matters most, the family you were born into or the one you've chosen. Oh my god. I read the synopsis and now I think I've changed my mind. I mean, that happens, right? Actually, now I think I'm going to keep this one. And, because Reagan from Peruse Project read it and liked it, I think that's made me more inclined to read it because I value her opinion on books, and I think she and I have similar tastes. So, change my mind. I'm going to keep this one and read it. So, this is off the list. So, the rest of the books are not from Book of the Month. There are books I actually bought myself, from a bookstore and not a subscription box. So, let's get into them. First one is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I know what you're thinking. I love Marissa Meyer. I liked the Lunar Chronicles. I liked Heartless. But I tried to read this one. I got into over 100 pages and I just couldn't get into it. I think it's because of the superhero thing or supervillains. That's just not my thing. And yes, I know I like Marvel and all that, and that's superheroes and supervillains, but book wise, it's not my thing. I'm not really into the supervillain story in books per se. So I gave it a shot, wasn't interested, decided to put it in my classroom for a child to read. Maybe they'll like it. Next is Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. I've had this on my shelf for 2 years. 2 years! And I kept it on my shelf based on someone else's recommendation, but it's been on my shelf for 2 years, and I don't think I'm going to get to it because I'm just too busy reading other books that I love more, So, onto my classroom library. Maybe a child will love it and read it and continue on with the series. Next is Sea Witch by Sarah Henning. This is a book deals with mermaids and sea life. Before she took the mermaid's voice, she gave up her own heart. So I'm guessing it's kind of about Ursula or someone resembling her. I really am not there have been books that based on Ursula's point of view before. I've seen them. There's a villains series, and it's about the villains of Disney. But I've never been particularly interested, and I actually don't know why I bought this. I have no idea why I decided to buy this. I've seen it before, and I never felt interested in it, and now it's why did I buy this? Why did I buy this? So yeah, I'm just going to unhaul it, and maybe a student will enjoy it. Next is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandria Cristo. I bought this on the recommendation of a friend, Christina. She has her own channel. I will leave the link to her channel down below. You should definitely try it out. It's not like a booktube channel, but it's planner stuff, but it's really entertaining, and I totally suggest you check it out. But back to this. She suggested this book because she read it and she thought I would like it, but it's been on my shelf for a couple years and I still have not read it. And I just don't feel like I'm going to get to it, because if it's there and I haven't gotten to it, I probably won't, because there's other books I want to read first, and it'll just keep staying on my shelf forever and never be read by anybody else. Oh, well, at least this particular copy. So I think I'm just going to unhaul it and have a student read it if they want to. Next is The Gunslinger by Stephen King, part of the Dark Tower series. I wanted to read more Stephen King, so I thought this would be a good one because it's YA kind of thing, but I'm not really interested in it, I know there's a movie out called The Dark Tower, but like I'm not feeling a pull towards it at all. So I'll just let a student that likes Stephen King read it instead. The last one, and I know this may like anger some people, but the last one is Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. And the reason I'm unhauling this is because I think like trying to read the series now, it's just too late. You know, I'm past that point where like vampires are the thing. And yes, and I realize that I'm getting Midnight Sun, which is vampires, but it's because it's part of Twilight and that was like part of my childhood. But Vampire Academy never was. And now it's, I feel like it's just, you know, too late. And like I watched the movie first, which kind of sometimes just ruins the book for you. And I read a couple of chapters and I was just like, eh, you know. So I am so sorry to Karen, my best friend who loves the series, but I just don't think I'm ever gonna get to it. And again, if I change my mind, it'll be in my classroom. So that is the last book I'm unhauling. I thought I was gonna unhaul all of them, but I decided to keep the one, Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. So that stays for sure. The rest will go into my classroom when we're allowed back in school, you know, because of COVID. We don't really know what's going on. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to try to convince me to keep any of these books, do so down in the comments. Please subscribe. Please. I will see you soon with another video. Bye.